With the Boost Eye Color key, we can actually intensify the color that's already in the eye. Now we can actually go through, we could even go through and actually change the eye color if we wanted to, but it's very important, particularly if we're dealing with high school seniors and people that were just doing for work for commission for their own portraits. We really don't want to change their eye color. Well, this key's actually got an asterisk after it, meaning it's got a modifier key attached to it. So it's going to give us multiple functions depending on the modifier keys that are used. By double clicking on the Boost Eye Color key, it gives us by default brown eyes. So what we're going to do is I'm using my bracket keys to be able to take and adjust my brush size. I'm going to set it just about the size of the iris, and then I can wipe around the iris there. As long as I don't lift up my brush, it'll only put on 10% of the color. You can look and you can see the foreground color down here in the lower right. I'm going to make my brush smaller to go into these areas. I can take and I can work it around that catch light. Let's go ahead. I'm going to add one more layer of the color. Again, you're probably not seeing a whole lot happening here, but as I brush over it, it is intensifying the color. I'm going to go ahead and turn my layer on and off, and you can see how we've just gently and softly just intensified the brown in that eye. Look at the difference here. You can see how this one here, if I want to go into do the same thing over here, you can see how we can gently bring up the brown eye color to just intensify it just a little bit more. Let's take a look at an eye with a different color here. You can see we've actually got blue eyes in this particular case. I've got a little bit of brown showing in here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and for our Boost Eye Color, again, I can always go here, click my help information, that shows me my help. You can see by default it's going to give me brown eyes. Shift key gives me green eyes. The command or control key gives me blue eyes, and a command shift gives me light blue for the coloration. In this case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the blue eye, so I'm going to hold my control or command key, double click on the Boost Eye Color. Once again, I'm going to adjust my brush size to about the size of the iris, and now I can just subtly paint over here. Now what's important is that I take and I just don't lift my brush. As long as I don't lift my brush, it's only going to apply just 10% of the color. If I want to take and add a little more color in again, I can lift my brush, put it back down again, and then I can take and I can intensify that color just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. You can see how I've got that, how we've actually taken and we've intensified the blue in the eyes. Can't stress enough how important it is to be able to take and look at your clients, maybe get a good clear shot of their eyes so we really truly know what their eye color is. There's a little bit of brown showing in here. We could take and add just a tiny bit of brown in there. I just simply double click, takes me back to my default, and you can see how I could take and I could add just a little bit of the brown around the inner part of the eye. If we take a look at this eye, you'll notice we've got a combination of both green and brown or kind of hazel colored eyes. So we can go ahead and we can actually work on that. We know that by default, clicking on our Boost Eye Color key, it's going to give us brown. Also, if we hold the Shift key, it's actually going to give us green. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead first. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double click on the green eyes, the Shift key, and I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to add just a little bit of the green around the outside there. There we go, that looks great. Now in this case I just simply double click the Boost Eye Color, which gives us our brown, and now we can go in here and we can take and intensify that brown just a little bit. So look at the difference in what we're able to take and we can create in these eyes. Maybe that green is just a little bit too much back here, so what I can do is I'm just going to lightly go back in over it with a brown to just minimize it just a little bit. Here's an example of an eye where I want to use the light blue. I just want to subtly make a change there. But notice I've got my catch lights. I've got a lot of specularity in the catch lights, probably from window light or something like that. But I've also got a specular highlight down here, which is a little discolored. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of that. So first I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the patch tool to take and get that. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to simply just move right around here with the patch tool. And then what I can do is I can actually take and I can move that around into there. There we go. You can see how we actually took and I minimize that by dragging that up into that area. Now I'm going to go ahead and we'll do a Command Shift, double click on Boost Eye Color, and that'll give us our light blue. So now we can go in and we can take and just subtly add just a little bit of the blue into the eyes. If I was to continue on with that, we could go on with our brighten eyes. And with our brighten eyes, this is where we can actually punch up the catch light and add a little bit of refraction over here and gently punch up the whites of the eyes. If we look real close here, you can see there's an area where it looks like the iris is actually bleeding out into the eye. Now, it really wasn't apparent before I made that change, but notice it when I made the change here with the patch tool. See, it didn't make a change in that area there, but because the color kind of shifted around it, it intensified the look of that. What we can do is we can go ahead and we can get rid of that. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the color shift adjustment. So we'll go to my color shift adjustment key. Then what I can do is I'm going to hold my Alt or Option key and I'm going to sample this warm eye color. We can verify it here in our foreground color. Now we're going to come in here and I'm going to make a very, very small brush, and then I'm just going to paint right in that area right in there. There we go, and you can see how we've now taken care of it so that it doesn't look like the iris is bleeding out into the eye.